Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Club. Today we're making yet another brew on the Pinter 3. After the success of making Belgian spiced beers, IPAs and German wheat beers, we're going to try out something a little different. This time, instead of making a beer, we're going to make ourselves a dark fruit cider, the Waltham Forest. I'm also going to take you through the entire end-to-end process on the video on how to make a brew on the Pinter 3. That will also include the cleaning, purifying, brewing and conditioning process. And of course, the tasting afterwards. Can't forget that. So, let's begin. Upon opening up the box, we are getting a sachet of the yeast called Vigour, a sachet of the purifier that we'll need to use first, and a pouch of the fresh press, which is essentially the lovely syrupy stuff that we'll use to make the cider, which comes in at an ABV of 4.5%. I'm going to brew this for the recommended 11 days, which will be 8 days of brewing and another 3 days for conditioning, as this will give you a more rounded finish. But first of all, let's go through the purifying process, as this is the most important part to get right, and I haven't covered this before on the channel. So let's start with that. So to begin with, make sure that you've got all the parts together, check that the tap is fully screwed into the pinter, and set the carbonation dial to 5. Now, a lot of you might want to do this in the sink, or even in the bath if your sink isn't big enough. Otherwise, this entire process might get a little bit messy. Fill up the pinter with hot water from the tap up to the internal black line, which you can just see here. Then, pour the purifier into the pinter. You'll then need to fit the two parts of the main cap together and make sure that these are secure. From there, screw the main cap onto the front of the pinter. Now, using both handles, give the pinter a shake for about 30 to 60 seconds. I normally have a YouTube video of a timer playing in the background to make sure I'm spending enough time doing this. I'll pop a link in the description of a couple of decent ones that I use. This will ensure that the contents of the pinter, the hot water and the purifier will be mixed together properly and will guarantee a better clean. We also need to make sure that the brewing dock has gone through the purifying process as well. So attach the dock to the pinter by aligning the two together and slightly pressing on the centre whilst rotating anti-clockwise. You should hear this click into place. Once this is done, turn the pinter upside down so that it is sitting on the docker itself as a secure base. You should hear the water running through this. Set this aside for about 10 seconds or so. In the sink, hold and twist to remove the pinter away from the docker. Then wash and rinse out the docker thoroughly. We'll next need to purify the carbonation dial, so rotate this anti-clockwise to off and then turn the pinter upside down and let the purifier flow through the dial for 10 seconds. Next, we need to make sure that the tap has been purified. So attach the handle and let the hot water run out through the tap for about 5 to 10 seconds. Then remove the main cap and let the rest of the purified water run out. You are now ready to brew. Set the carbonation dial by rotating it clockwise to setting 5. Then fill the pinter with cold water to the internal black line. Now, I've said this previously in some of my other videos, I live in Yorkshire where we have excellent drinking water, but if you live somewhere in the country that is a hard water area, then you might want to consider using bottled or purified water for your brew. Open up the pouch containing the fresh press and pour the contents of this carefully into the pinter. Make sure you give it a good squeeze to make sure that you get all of it in there. Again, do this over the sink or over the bath, otherwise this might become a messy job. From there, open up and pour in the contents of the brewing yeast into the pinter. Then screw the main cap back on. From there, give the pinter a good shake using both handles for again a minimum of 30 to 60 seconds, like you did before during the purifying process. From there, attach the brewing dock, again in the same way as before, and turn this over so that everything is sitting on the dock. Again, you'll hear the liquid inside flowing down like before. Dry this off and leave it in a safe space at room temperature for the recommended time, somewhere not too hot or too cold and where it won't be moved or disturbed. Some hissing is normal during this process, so don't be worried if your pinter starts making this noise. Now, whilst we're waiting for the brewing process to be complete, I must point out how good Pinter's customer care is. I had unfortunately mislaid a couple of the purifiers after unboxing them, and funnily enough unboxed them for these videos, and I asked Pinter on their official Twitter page if they sold them separately. They didn't, but I was put in touch with their customer support team, who very kindly sent me some spare ones in the post free of charge. So, thank you Pinter, thank you very much. Anyway, on to the conditioning now. 8 days of brewing have now passed, and it's now time to begin the conditioning process. In the sink, hold the brewing dock and rotate anti-clockwise to release. You might see a release of liquid and pressure, but this is normal. Empty all of the liquid from the dock and wash it thoroughly. Give the main cap a wipe down to remove any remaining liquid, then attach the front plate and the tap. It's now ready to go into the fridge for conditioning for the recommended time, 3 days in this case. Three days later, the moment of truth had arrived. Upon pouring my first glass of my homemade dark fruit cider, I was pleasantly surprised by its professional appearance. I had my eldest son, Elias, visiting us for a few days, so I made sure that I had the Waltham Forest cider ready for when he arrived. He's a big cider drinker, so I wanted him to try out what I'd made and see how it compared to what he normally has. It was clear from that first pour that this was no amateur backyard brew. The rich, deep hue resembled the alluring colours of a premium commercial cider like a Strongbow. However, the aroma immediately set it apart from its store-bought counterparts. Straight away, I was getting an enticing aroma of raspberry and blackcurrant notes, a very inviting, fruity fragrance. On the taste, it is bursting with natural sweetness and vibrant dark fruit colours. There's rich blackcurrants and tart raspberries mingled together. This is worlds apart from the likes of Strongbow and its other shop-bought ilk with their artificial sweetness. In fact, Strongbow can get in the bin now that we've got this. Each cool quaff of this dark fruit cider brought with it a refreshing fizziness that left behind a pleasant mouthfeel that had you eagerly reaching for another pour. Remarkably clean, amazingly drinkable, and exceeding all expectations. This homemade dark fruit cider is an unqualified success. Who needs mass production when you can craft something like this, something this delightfully quaffable, right in your own home? I feel that I need to raise my glass to Pinter and to amateur brewers everywhere. This cider is the real deal. This was my very first time brewing a cider in the Pinter, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. Next time, we'll be brewing a couple of collaborations that Pinter had made with well-established breweries. They will be Pinter's collaboration with the Yeasty Boys, a brewery that we featured on this channel before. This will be a remixed version of their Big Mouth Session IPA, and this will be the first time that I'll be doing a brew with additional hop oil. And my mate Dave will be popping over to try it out. He'll be coming over to the Mabbers Tavern for a few pints, so let's hope it turns out okay. I'll also be reviewing Pinter's collaboration with Brew Gooder. Again, this is going to be a remixed version of their Hazy IPA, and I'll be reviewing that with my mate Kyle over at his house. Now, I haven't decided yet if these are going to be two separate reviews, two separate videos, or if I'll just do it in one single video. I haven't decided yet. But either way, be sure to come back for those reviews here on the channel very, very soon. So, if you want to catch that, make sure you click on this subscribe button here. Click on that notification bell, leave a like, leave a comment, share this across all your various social media gubbins. Whilst you're at it, you may as well follow me on my social medias as well. They're just there. Duck your head. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. You know, it's free to subscribe.
Apart from his OnlyFans, that's a £5.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that.
You gotta get promoted. This is what I'm telling you.
It's me completely naked apart from a pint of cider.
It's a very nice pint of cider.
Stop it now. Right, so it's not that strong, blimey.
Oh, I'm just a twat.
So yes, do all that social media gubbins, that'd be really nice. And we'll catch you again for another episode of Beer Club. Until then, thanks for stopping by the Mabbers Tavern, and we'll catch you again next time.